Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are in the world. This is Doug Crow with Authority Fusion Live and our weekly show. Right now, weekly, maybe we'll go more, but right now it's called Cocktails and Conversations. So this might look like water, but you don't know if it's water or gin and tonic, do you? Nobody knows, not even our guest today, Laura Prather, who is going to talk to us about her wonderful book that has a very depressing title. Right, Laura? No, I'm kidding. It's not a depressing title, but it's about depression. So you want to go ahead and talk about your book a little bit here?
Sure, definitely. Thanks for having me, Doug, by the
Sure,
way. I
you
really
bet.
appreciate it. I love what you do and helping authors have a voice. So many
You got it.
times, people get a book in their hands and they don't get to hear it in the author's voice. So
Yeah,
thank you for doing that.
you bet.
I appreciate it. So my book is about my experience with depression, and it happened years back, and I had a really, really tough time with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up writing down all the things that were troubling me at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as I read what I had written, I realized that there were so many people out there like me who felt alone and were in so much pain and just needed help with a way out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I want to do, is help people find a way out.
All right. So I got the book. Haven't finished it, like I told you, but I know it's called Journey. It's a journey for what you went through.
Yes.
So do you want to give us the 3-minute version?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I was, like I said, incredibly depressed, and I got to a point where I was actually ready to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to I didn't feel like I was capable of handling anything else the world could throw at me, and I saw suicide as my only option.
Right.
And fate had a little bit different story for me, and I actually one day made a decision that I deserved to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And once I made that decision, everything in my life had changed. So I went from being suicidal to making a decision to positively impact my life and put me on a whole new course. And that's what I talk about in my book, is how I go from being depressed and defeated to determined to make my dreams come true. As
Amazing.
crazy as they can be
No,
sometimes.
that's all right. So you want to give us a little more detail on what was causing the depression? Do you have a clue what was going on, or okay?
I was 14 years old. My mom was shipped to war. She was in the military,
Mm-hmm.
in the Navy, and I guess I was a little bit spoiled, maybe just a little bit. My mom took care of most things on the home front. So, cooked, cleaned, laundry, helping with homework, everything. She helped with everything. And I'm really sorry to say that I took a lot for granted. So when she was deployed and left, all of these things that still have to get done, right?
Yeah.
We do actually still need to do laundry and cook dinner and do our homework, and everything now fell back on our shoulders on our own.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really, really tough transition. I'll say that I actually got through her deployment, I think, pretty okay, except that when she came home, I was very naive in thinking that as soon as she gets home, everything will just go back to normal. Everything will be fine as soon as she gets home. It'll go back to the way it was. The world is ever changing and ever evolving. Who we had dropped off in the airport that day is not the same person that came home. She came home a little bit different from her experiences overseas. And us, same thing. We've now had to live 9 months without her and function as a family without her. And that's what she was coming home to. It just left her a very awkward family dynamic. And ultimately, the thoughts going through my brain, I was so incredibly negative and so incredibly guilty, feeling like there was a stranger that had come home that was in my mom's shoes. That was very difficult. 14 years old. It was a tough time, and things are always changing at that time. It's a confusing time anyways. And going through that at the same time, it just, when I needed my mom the most, it just was incredibly tough. I didn't know how to handle the situations that I was
Understood.
thrown in.
What was she? Where was she? Like in combat? How when she came back different? What?
She was not. There was a little bit of lack of communication at the time. Between my dad and my brother and I, and she actually ran a hospital in Kuwait. They didn't see really any combat there, but they would do, get patients in and everything.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay. She's gone for 9 months. She comes back. She's changed from the experience, and she was. So, tell me about the dynamic when you guys were all brought together again. How would things change, like tactically?
It was tough. So, like I said, everything that she had done for us, I don't know if she came in with the expectation of, doing all those things again, but in the meantime, here we are taking care of it on our own. So, it's almost like an awkward family meeting, where you have one person kind of sitting out like, what am I supposed to do here? And we're all like struggling to function and make up for all the things that we had lost. It did not jive at all.
Right.
It
Okay.
was very, very awkward. And for me, it was the guilt. I felt most guilty about her not basically feeling like she wasn't home. And here
Okay.
she is standing right next to me. But it doesn't feel like her. So how is this my mom when it doesn't feel like my mom? And
Yeah.
am I supposed to have that mother-daughter relationship when it doesn't feel like the person that should be having these
Right.
conversations with? So
Right.
just I felt in a lot of ways like I lost my mom.
Okay.
And how do I explain that when she's standing right next to me?
Especially as a teenager, yeah, it's hard to express that. What? How long did this last? This awkward depression thing.
I was depressed for about 4 years,
Wow.
and it took me about another 4 years to get out of it fully. I kind of look at like a white and black page. For such a long time, it was a black page with little tiny, white dots of positivity, things
Mm-hmm.
that weren't all so bad. And it took me about another 4 years to flip that to where it's a white page with just a couple little, incidents of,
Yeah.
you know, negative thinking.
Okay. So, because in the summary at the beginning of our conversation, you said, "Well, I made a decision. Everything was. I decided. That was the pivot
hmm
point, right?"
hmm Yes, definitely.
But now you're saying it took 4 years, or
Yeah, from when I made that
okay.
decision, because I basically I was at the end of my rope, and I
Yeah.
had what I saw was one path to go down, and which
Mm-hmm.
was suicide.
Yeah.
And I uh, coincidentally met my boyfriend, husband now, boyfriend
Yeah.
at the time, and it was kind of like a hand in the dark. He was the first person that I felt able to speak up about and speak and talk to about
Nice.
what I was going through.
Nice.
I was expecting him to run away, screaming, because that's what I wanted to do. It was my own life, and he didn't. He stuck by my side, and I was able to share my experience over,
Mm-hmm.
and by releasing the pain within me, it was a hand in the dark when I needed it the most.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, what's the opposite of committing suicide? What's if I'm not going to do this, what's the opposite? And I dared to think, well, what if I deserve to be happy? I mean, that's the exact opposite of
Mm-hmm.
I'm done, I can't do this, and I'm going to end it all.
Right.
I deserve to be happy. So I made that decision. And once I said it out loud 4 or 5 times, and I started to I'm going to hold on to this. I deserve to be happy.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did, everything that was me previously washed out of me.
Mm.
Everything that I felt like who I was up until that point was gone. And I got to really redecide and figure out who I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
What made me me. And though I had a lot of core values, I got to choose and decide what it was that I wanted to be. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that centered around I deserve to be happy. So
Right.
what are the things in my life? Who do I want to be so that I am happy? It was a
Nice.
really great experience. And I would say that I'm at the point now where I'm grateful that I've been depressed. I know that might sound a little awkward, but
No, no, you gotta have the
I
bless.
am
You gotta be grateful for everything, the good and bad. Otherwise, what's up?
very
It's
grateful for my
selfish. Yeah.
experience, make me who I am today.
Okay. Very cool. So, I know teenage girls have it harder than any other group of people in Western civilization, right? There's a lot going on there, both hormonally and social pressures and all this stuff. So, yeah, mom being deployed, you being slightly spoiled and missing mom. That's people are going to listen to that and go, okay. Did
Yeah,
you have?
boohoo.
Did you have? Well, and you were going to acknowledge that, but is there? Did you get any other advice or counsel that maybe something else was going on?
It was kind of a funny story actually. I didn't even know what depression was. I didn't even know that that word existed.
Mm-hmm.
All I knew was how I felt, and I think that was part of the isolating feeling for me.
Mm.
I didn't want to share my experience. I didn't want to bring others down around me, and I was scared. I honestly didn't want to be another statistic. I didn't want to be another number, and I especially didn't want to be put on meds.
Mm-hmm.
And that much I knew. And so I kept everything inside bottled up, which ultimately made it worse. And I think last longer than it really needed to. Versus if I had spoken up and said, "Hey, I'm feeling this way. I don't know how to handle it." Coincidentally, I was sitting in the living room. My dad was watching TV, and a commercial popped up, and it said, "Do you ever feel like this, 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 and this?" And I'm like, "Oh, wait, hang on." Caught my attention. I started listening. "Do you also feel like this, 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 and this?" And I said, "Hey, yeah, actually, I do." And it just kept going. And I said, "Hey, yeah, I can check every single one of those
Well,
boxes." Well,
yeah, go get some drugs from this drug company. The ad was
exactly.
right.
I stopped listening after the medication part, but it was centered around depression. I'm like, this has a word. This has a name. This is something that is, that happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was able to acknowledge it at that point.
Wow. Okay. So, but you didn't go to get any counsel or anything. It was just
Mm-mm.
tough it out, like sort of like what I did. Okay, got it. All right, good. Very
A
interesting.
little headstrong, determined,
Yeah, that's all right.
bullhead.
But you're interesting point though, because and we're going to get to this question in a minute, but I think here's the segue to it. Every other disease I can think of, it's like, oh gosh, you've got cancer, arthritis, whatever. It's you can kind of either see it, or people can nod the head and go, oh yeah, it's too bad. Mental health, for some reason, there's a stigma. It's like, well, can't you just snap out of it? What's your problem? Are you crazy? And blah blah blah. So the perception of mental health in this world, perhaps, is very interesting to me. What's your take on it?
Yes, and actually that's what I feel like I face today now is I really want to end the taboo that is around depression. Uh, I want to answer your question in two parts because how I feel about it versus how we talk about it. So how I feel about it is it should be a conversation. It's like an automobile, right? You have your car, and you need your car for some things, and you want your car for some things. I want to go to the beach, but I have to drive to work. Regardless, you need your car, and you need your car to work. So what do? We change the tires or rotate them. We change the oil. Sometimes we need to get new windshield wiper blades, because there's just normal wear and tear on your car that you have to continue to work on and fix and replace and help so that you have a functioning vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, our brain is no different. Our brain is no different. There are things that we need to do to take care of our brain, take care of our mental health, so that way it continues to function how we need it and how we want it to.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, that's a very simple conversation that we can have to be able to, not necessarily make it taboo.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the second part of how I answer it is we don't talk about it that way. We don't talk about it at all that way. My dad, for instance, gets skin cancer, and I know this because we talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
He says, when I was a kid, I went out in the sun all the time. I didn't wear sunscreen. I got burned. I didn't care. I didn't take care of my skin, and so now I'm dealing with skin cancer. And we talk about it, and it's okay, right? Why don't we talk about mental health that way? Why don't we talk about, hey, you know what? Depression is something that may run in our family. This is something that we've seen come up a couple of times, and this is what you should look out for to know that this is something you may be heading towards. And here's how we can work on it together to keep you from getting that far down. Here's how we can talk about it and be open with each other so that way you can learn how to cope and handle the negative things that life is going to throw out at you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I don't seem to have any control over coronavirus being out in the world. So,
You don't? Are you sure? Come on, just use social distancing and wear a mask. You'll be fine.
Okay. So yeah, life is always going to throw negative and difficult things at you. There's always going to be hard times in life. If we can open up and speak out about it and have a conversation about it, mental health doesn't have to be taboo. It can be something that is manageable and
Right.
something that is normal, just routine maintenance and care.
So why is it taboo? What's your opinion on that? Because I've got my own ideas on that, but I'd like to hear what your take is.
Yeah. I wish I could answer you fully. For me personally, when I was experiencing it, I did feel like I was going to be judged. I felt like I was going to be just a number, just a statistic. I didn't want to be put on, oh, you have depression here, just take a bunch of meds.
Yeah.
That wasn't who I was about. That's not what I want to do and how I wanted to be. And I was afraid that if I spoke up about it, it was just going to be like, oh, well, shame on you. You bring shame to the family, and that's not what I wanted to do ultimately.
Mm-hmm.
And I put that stigma above my own health. I put those feelings that I had around it above, and that fear above the things that would actually help me and make me better, which
Mm-hmm.
is talking about it.
Right. So, when I hear you speak about this, I'm gonna go yep, because I have in my family a couple people here and there. Shall we name nameless? But and me personally, I've started to share my story. My gun and my hollow point bullet was sitting there on my desk for a solid month for a time in my life, and it looked very attractive for a while. And again, I agree with you. The isolation is like, whoa, I didn't share with anybody. Some people figured it out and took the gun away and stepped in a little bit. But the taboo part is very puzzling to me because you're right. It is like a car. It's just like, oh, I can rotate tires, I can change oil, but I really can't get to that car's computer very easily. That requires a mechanic. I can't do that part. But here's the thing. I'm thinking out loud here, Laura. But I'm thinking, okay, well, if we have a physiological problem, let's say I broke a leg. Okay, well, the body heals, but a doctor makes it heal better. If I have cancer, well, it's a more micro problem, and we have to do more advanced treatments for that. But look at you and I didn't take any meds, and we're cured. And that tells me that, okay, that it kind of like self-supports the taboo part that, hey, man, I've had it bad. This person's got it worse than you. Snap out of it, you army brat. I mean, there's a lot of things that we think they're thinking. Oh, Doug, come on. You're living in America. You're successful, a great family. What are you depressed about? Snap out of it, you weenie. And the problem is both solutions are problematic because, yeah, I toughed it out, refused the meds, and worked my way through it like you did. And too many meds is like people get hooked on those. There's no answer that goes, oh, well, you've got cancer, we got to treat you with this, or you've got a broken leg, treat you with that. It's a self-healing at a big level, and because of that, people all right, what's wrong with you? Can't you just read a happy book, go for a jog? Okay, now you give me your opinion on that.
Well, so I think you said two really important things, and thank you for sharing your experience with it. I mean, already right now, you and I, we are ending the taboo by opening up and talking about it. Thank you. Secondly, like you said, back to the automobile. So there's a computer in the car. Maybe I was thinking of a much simpler car.
You're old school. Look, come on, you're too young to have a cool car without a computer in it. Yeah.
So we have this computer in the car, and it's kind of hard to get to, and I don't know how to get to it. I don't know how to fix that part. So what do? We take it to a mechanic. There are some things, like maybe rotating the tires or changing the oil, that we can do ourselves, right? I know how to do that. No problem. I can fix that. I'll work on that myself. There are other things, like the computer, like you said, I don't know what to do once we get there. So, okay, what do? We take it to the mechanic, and they know how to work on it. We go to a therapist, and we talk about it, and we work on it together, and we can reach that help. Neither one of those are bad solutions, so long as that we're working towards a solution. That's the key there.
Right.
And the second thing is, what you experienced and what I experienced are two completely different things. I have cousins even that they're deployed on a regular basis. Yeah. Mom was deployed essentially for my adult life one time, or young adult life one time. What matters though is that each thing for us brought us down to our lowest level.
Right. Yeah.
You were brought down to your knees. I was brought down to my knees. Yeah. Right. It brought us down to our lowest level. It doesn't necessarily matter what it is that you went through and what it is that I went through. What matters is that it both brought us down to our lowest level. That's where we relate. That's where we are the same. That's where we both have to learn how to pick up the pieces and start to put ourselves back together. Right. And like I said, whether you do that on your own and you start to learn the ways and things that you need to do to change your mentality and bring you back up, or if you need to get help to do that, even if you need to get medication, it's all okay so long as you are working on that path to bring you back up.
Outstanding. Yeah, I think the isolation thing, especially now from what I'm reading, there's an increase of stir craziness and perhaps depression along with this pandemic thing. But I think isolation is a key point because you feel very alone when this time, especially if you're happy before, all of a sudden you're super sad. Like, well, now what? Who do I go to? I can't. Yeah, we were embarrassed. We perpetuated that taboo by not talking to people. Yeah. Oh, I'm guilty. Okay, fine. Well, we'll do the best we can. So anyway, if you're depressed, anybody who's watching this, reach out to a friend. Reach out to Laura. It doesn't matter. There's always someone you can talk to. Stranger, friend, family member. It's okay to do so. If they judge you, it's their problem, in my opinion. Right? Okay.
What I would say is, wherever you are in your life and whatever it is that you're doing right now, just know that you're worthy of it, right? And you can achieve it. I think everyone would be surprised to know, and I was surprised to know how big a circle you actually have around you of not only people that want to see you survive, but thrive. I would really encourage you to reach out, to speak up, speak out, and find your circle, find the people that want to see you make it all the way.
That's right. Her book is called 4 Little Words My journey from depressed to determined. My journey from depressed to determined. That's 6 words.
That would not be the 4 words in the book.
Oh, you've got to get the book to get the words, folks. 4 Little Words by Laura Prather on Amazon.com. And you also want to talk about a thing you're helping with getting the awareness out there, Laura. So share that group.
Yes. So I've created a Facebook community. It's LP Speak Up, Speak Out, or Speak Out, LP Speak Out. And what I really want to do and what I need help with from you and everybody else is join the community and let's create a place where it's not taboo, where we can speak out about the tough times we're going through, sitting in isolation at home, like you're saying, Doug, and we can have that circle, that support group around you to encourage you through the tough times and get you back where you want to be.
Right. Outstanding. So regarding support, let me ask you a couple of questions and then we'll wrap it up. But I'm curious because I've done some books for people who are deep into, support, AA, things like that. And there's other therapeutic regimens which say you're reinforcing the negative and you gotta go, focus on the positive. So do you have any framework or parameters in your group to get people to share without getting worse?
Not yet, but that is coming. Yes.
Well, that's something the group can develop together then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we can sometimes all have a mentality of, if I were president, how would I handle things? And if we can apply that same mentality to our own personal lives, be president of your own life, and let's have I really want to help inspire people become a curator of their own dreams.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Very good. All right.
Really, really, we get our one life. Let's live it to the fullest. Let's help each other out and get us there.
Outstanding. What's the name of the group?
It's under LP Speak Out.
LP Speak Out. So go to Facebook.com and then put in the search bar LP altogether. LP Speak Out.
Yep. LP Speak Out.
That's your initials in case people wondering what LP is. That's Laura Prather.
That's me.
Author of 4 Little Words. And her Facebook group to join is definitely join it and get in there and either listen or contribute and help her help the rest of the world here because man, it's Western civilization especially. It's depression is all-time high and getting worse. It's crazy. Sorry, pardon the pun. So LP Speak Out on Facebook. Laura, thank you so much. I appreciate your time today. We look forward to getting your book and helping people feel better about their life.
Yes. Thank you so much, Doug.
You bet.
Appreciate what you're doing.
My pleasure. Thanks. Okay. See you later.
Okay.
Bye-bye.